On today's episode of the Mark Titus Show, it was supposed to be a boring week of college basketball. A lot of finals going on around the country. Folks, let's not forget, these are student athletes. A lot of us focus on the athlete part. They are students as well, and they are taking their finals. So with that, the schedule was supposed to be a little light. Not a lot of big-time games going on. There are a ton going on this weekend. On Saturday, especially, we'll talk about that at some point. But throughout the week, there was supposed to not be a lot of action in the sport of college basketball, and yet UNLV beats Creighton by 15. That's noteworthy. The Louisville Cardinals, just when you think they can't find another level to descend to, just when you think they found rock bottom, Kenny Payne says, watch this, digs deeper, finds another level of rock bottom. We will talk about that. Louisville losing to Arkansas State at home, which kind of wasn't even the story. Like, that was like the lost part of Louisville's day yesterday, was the fact that they also, on top of what was going on in that program, they lost to Arkansas State at home by 12. But the big one, the Northwestern Wildcats have felt the wrath of these Chicago State Cougars, which is near and dear to my heart because I once upon a time promised to make Chicago State again. I once, when the Chicago State basketball job was open, I made a serious push for it. I can't remember what happened. I didn't get the job. I can't remember if they didn't want me or if I didn't want them in the end. I think it was mutual. I think, you know what it was? I just remembered. We both, yeah, this is what happened. I was on the phone with Chicago State, and we both called each other at the exact same time, and we were on a phone together, and we both said 3, 2, 1, say it, and we both said, this isn't working. And so it was definitely a mutual decision. Be that as it may, Chicago State pulls off, I don't even know if upset's the right word, like a monumental seismic event took place in Evanston with Chicago State beating Northwestern on the heels of Northwestern beating Purdue. Just absolute insanity. So the best way to process everything that is going on in college basketball this week, and again, it was supposed to not be a very exciting week of college basketball, the best way to process it all is, of course, with the fraud power rankings. So that is what we're going to do on the show today. We're going to do some fraud power rankings. I have those prepared. I think that's it. I think, well, let's just get into it. All right, fraud power rankings coming up. No guest today, by the way, which we'll get to with the fraud power rankings, rest assured. But, we'll do the fraud power rankings in a second. I first want to talk about Creighton. Spoiler, I'm not putting Creighton on the fraud power ranking. Creighton loses at UNLV. 79-64. Creighton is now 8-2 on the season. Their two losses are to Mountain West teams, Colorado State and UNLV. This is a Creighton team that is very highly thought of in some, or coming into the season was highly thought of in some circles. You know, they're ranked 8th in the country, obviously, so they're a good basketball team. But beyond like their AP poll ranking, there was a belief that this team could challenge Marquette and UConn and be that third in a conference that could eventually end up being UConn and Marquette. And, you know, we've talked about that on the show, which one of them runs the conference, the national champion or the team that won everything last year in the conference. Creighton was that third team that was like, no, wait a second, what about us? And they have now lost 2 games to 2 Mountain West teams. Colorado State's a good basketball team. I think UNLV is not that bad as well. Dedon Thomas is a fun freshman. He's a legacy kid out there for the Rebels. Caleb Boone has been great for them, the Oklahoma State transfer. I don't think UNLV is that bad of a team, but the real reason I'm not putting Creighton on a fraud power rankings is because I think this is going to be Creighton's MO this year. It's kind of been their MO for a while, but like they are still a good basketball team. What worries me about Creighton is they are a make shots team, and if I've said it once, I've said it at least a couple dozen times on this show. You have to make shots to win at this level. You just do, folks. And Creighton is a make shots team. I think both of their losses, they shoot 20% from the three-point line against Colorado State. They shoot 28% from the three-point line against UNLV. I think they're fine with that long term. Now, that's the scary part about this is the NCAA tournament doesn't work that way. The NCAA tournament, you come one night, you're not hitting shots, you're fucked, you're out. Goodbye. Good season, you're done. There is no, but we'll get them next time, or there's no, like, over the course of a 7-game series, the numbers say that that was an anomaly and we'll prove it over these next few games. You didn't have it tonight, you're out. But this is kind of what Creighton's MO is and their approach to the game. So Creighton, interesting little tidbit about them. They are 4th in the country in 3-point attempts per game. They love to shoot threes. And at this point in the season, they are 7th in the country in 3-point attempt defense, if such a thing exists. Like, teams do not shoot threes against them. They guard the 3-point line well, or at least they teams don't pull from the 3-point line on them, and they put up a ton of threes. And that is what their strategy is going to be all season long. And every so often, when their shots aren't falling, which is what just happened in their 2 losses, they kind of don't really have a plan B. I mean, I do worry about some other stuff with Creighton, like Ashworth, the point guard that they get from Utah State. I think was supposed to just replace Nimhard and be a seamless transition. He hasn't, he hasn't been awful for them, but he's averaging 8 points a game and 3 assists per game. It's not like he's a world beater. I think that was probably a downgrade, at least from what I've seen. I don't know. I know Ashworth is highly thought of by a lot of people I know, and there's still a lot of basketball left to be played. But I think that's that's part of it. Is there's a little bit of a downgrade at that position. Creighton is also, per KenPom, dead last in turnover percentage on defense, which is just say their defense creates 0 turnovers. They're dead last. I should have clarified. They are not dead last in the Big East. They are dead last in all of college basketball. There's not a college basketball team in these United States that is worse at forcing turnovers on defense than Creighton is. Now, obviously, Creighton is not a bad defensive team. You got Kalkbrenner, rim protector, Trey Alexander can guard. They're not bad defensively. They're just not generating turnovers. I don't think that I still have a few questions about how talented they really are, what their ceiling actually looks like. But yeah, these sorts of things are going to happen with Creighton. So I'm not putting Creighton on my fraud power rankings because I'm not shocked. I guess that's how I would frame it. It's like when I saw that Creighton was down 15 or lost by 15 to UNLV, I wasn't like, holy shit, how did that happen? I was like, well, they probably were bricking everything, and De'Don Thomas is probably playing really well, and Caleb, like, it wasn't like a, well, damn, this changes everything about Creighton for me. So anyway, I don't know how much I trust Creighton long term. I still think they can be a good team, but like, if I'm being completely honest, this Creighton team does not feel different than any of the others. Last year's team, to belabor the point, I know I've said it on the show a bunch, but last year's team, they were good enough to win a national championship, and they felt like they were in a position to bring dudes back and make another run at it. I'm not ready to say that this year's team is better than last year's team. I'm not. And a lot can change, but yeah, I don't know. This just feels like another really, really good Creighton team that's not actually going to seriously contend for a national championship, which is kind of been what Creighton basketball has been. And, the Creighton fans might hear that and think it's an insult. A lot of programs in the country would love to be in that position. So, yeah, I'm not overreacting to Creighton. What else? The Northwestern. Well, let's just get into the fraud power rankings. Let's just get into the fraud because I'm going to talk about Louisville. I'm going to talk about Northwestern, obviously. So let's just get into the fraud power. You know what? Let's just get into the fraud power rankings. Do we need music for the fraud power rankings? We need like a drop that's just like frauds. Fraud. So everyone knows it started. Yeah, let's do fraud power rankings. So at number 5 on the fraud power rankings this week, little unorthodox pick. It's Jeff D. Lowe. Wait, what? Yeah, Jeff D. Lowe. Jeff D. Lowe, host of The Dozen, host of Surviving Barstool, was supposed to be the guest on the show. Jeff D. Lowe booked himself on the show. I talked to him yesterday. And
he booked himself on 2 Mark Titus.
Correct, yes. He was coming on Mostly
shows.
Sports, and he was coming on the Titus show, and he was just going to come on. We were going to hash it out about – he's a UConn fan, I think. It's hard to keep his fandoms.
Right.
And there's a lot going on there. But I'm pretty sure Jeff is a UConn basketball fan. I was like, yeah, what the hell, Jeff? Come on, let's reminisce about some of your favorite UConn teams growing up. Maybe we come up with some cheeky trivia thing. Maybe we pull up a college basketball Sporkle, and Jeff and I tag team it. He's the trivia guy. I'm third team preseason all dozen trivia. It makes sense. Very obvious segment. I don't know what happened. Jeff just disappeared. Now, to be fair to Jeff, I didn't really talk to him today. I didn't, but last time I talked yesterday, I was like, yeah, come on the show. I guess I probably should have texted him today and been like, you good for today still? I don't know. I just assumed we were good. But Jeff Jeff D. Lowe, more like Jeff D. No Show.
Yo.
Am I right, you guys? Am
Shit.
I right? This guy knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, so Jeff, I hate to do it to you, man, but I got to put you on the fraud power rankings. I don't know. Maybe we'll get Jeff on here sometime, or maybe not. Or should I ban Jeff? Should I just ban Jeff?
I think so. There has to be some sort of punishment.
Yeah, there kind of does.
You can't book yourself on 2 shows and then not show up to either of them.
Yeah, Jeff's like, I'm gonna be around. He lives in L.A. now or Orange County or something.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm in town for a few days for Surviving Barstool. If you want me to come on the show or whatever, I was like, yeah. And he's like, you know what? I will come on the show and I'll talk about this. And I was like, all right. Like, I really didn't mind. I wasn't like, fuck, I don't want Jeff on my show. I was like, yeah, man, that's awesome. It's a pain in my ass to book guests on this show, to be honest with you. So thanks, Jeff. Looks like you just booked yourself on my show. Come on. Let's talk about it. And I don't know what the hell happened. He's a no-show. So Jeff D. Lowe's number 5 on the fraud power rankings. Number 4 on the fraud power rankings is the Big Ten as a whole. So yesterday is the big news that we made Chicago State again. The Cougars beat Northwestern. The whiplash from that, of beating Purdue, losing to Chicago State, if there is a word in the English language to describe how bad of a loss that is to Chicago State, I am unaware of it. I like saying it's a horrendous loss doesn't feel like it's enough. Chicago State has gotten better through the years. I think ever since I kind of, gave them a little pub and gave them a little bit of a push, the Titus bump with that whole thing. Like I said, when I was in the running, it looked like I was going to be the coach. We just kind of mutually decided to not go that route. But then, there was like a little bit of buzz around the program from that, and they've capitalized and got some 5-star. They got like, was it 1 or 2 5-star kid? They got 1 5-star kid, I think. Don't fact check that. But yeah, they're not as bad as they used to be, but they're still, oh my God, still a very, very, very bad basketball program. And to beat Northwestern, after Northwestern just beats Purdue, it kind of like takes the sting out of it. Takes the as much as I want to point and laugh at Northwestern, the Big Ten homer in me was just like, oh fuck, this is really, really bad. This is really, really bad. Because to have the best team in the Big Ten, Purdue, lose to this team, and then there's no other context in terms of like, Purdue lost to Northwestern at Northwestern, but then Chicago State beat Northwestern on a neutral court where you can kind of try to justify it in any way, shape, or form. Now, Northwestern fans will point out that the Purdue game took place when school was in session, and the Chicago State game did not, and so the student section was rabid and going bananas against Purdue, and it was crickets for the Chicago State game. I don't think that matters. I think if you were playing Purdue if you're playing the number 1 team in the country over a holiday break, over a winter break, the place would have been packed. It would have been rocking. The students and the fans did not show up because it was the timing of the schedule. They failed to show up because it was Chicago State, and they were like, "Fuck that, that's an easy W. I don't want to go to that game." So yeah, this is horrendous for the Big Ten because Northwestern is going to beat a lot of teams in this conference, and every single one of them is going to feel the secondhand stench of the Chicago State loss. But here's where we're at as a conference, the Big Ten. And Andy Katz, I need to get Andy Katz on this show to make sense of this, because Andy is the premier making chicken salad out of chicken shit guy with the Big Ten. Yeah. Like he always finds a silver lining. And I'm struggling to find it right now, because here are the losses the Big Ten teams have endured so far. So we got Northwestern losing to Chicago State. We got Penn State losing to Bucknell, a very, very, very bad Bucknell team. That was at home. That was at Penn State on their home court. They lose to Bucknell. And Bucknell, I had the KenPom number here. Bucknell is currently 306th in KenPom. They are 306th in KenPom. Where's Chicago State, by the way? Chicago State is 321st. There are only 362 teams in college basketball, and these teams are 300 plus on the KenPom ratings to give you an idea of how bad they are. They're so bad that like KenPom had to come up with their own metric there's no other metric that's tracking how bad they are. I'm pretty sure the net rankings don't even have them listed. The net rankings get to like 300 and they're just like, we give up. We don't give a fuck anymore.
Are those numbers after the wins too?
Yeah, Chicago State is 321 after beating Northwestern. They were 335 going into the game.
Out of what, 337? How many teams?
362.
Okay.
362 teams. So Penn State loses to Bucknell at home, and then turns around and beats Ohio State on their home court when Ohio State was up by 18. That's a horrendous loss for Ohio State. Maryland has lost to UAB and Davidson, who aren't, they're not even anywhere close to as bad as Chicago State, but like those are two games that Maryland should have won. Like for what we thought Maryland would be this year, those are two games they should have won. Maryland is not in a good spot right now at all. They did beat Penn State though at home in overtime, so that's good. They avoided that catastrophe. Minnesota, who is not supposed to be good, so it's not like that damning, but still. Minnesota loses to San Francisco by 18. IU has been blown out by Auburn and UConn. Looks like they do not belong on the same floor with those two teams. Wisconsin was blown out at Arizona. Wisconsin's putting together a decent season, but Wisconsin has taken some losses. Like, no bad losses, but the losses have been bad. Does that make sense? No bad losses in terms of like the teams they're playing being bad, but the results, again, they looked like they did not belong on the same floor as Arizona. Like, Arizona looked like a professional team playing against a bunch of high schoolers when they played Wisconsin. Michigan State is 4-5. Purdue loses at Northwestern, and then Northwestern turns around and loses to Chicago State. That's just where we're at as a conference. Like, I really think right now, 4 bids, 5 bids. I'm hoping 6. Like, Purdue's going to be in. We know that for a fact. Illinois is going to be in. I'm pretty sure about that. Wisconsin, I feel very confident about. Ohio State, I think in a vacuum, I would still be confident about. If this was only this, if you did the Men in Black memory eraser thing to me right before this season started, and I was just watching this season, I would still say Ohio State looks like a tournament team. But again, like the concern for me wasn't just a bad loss to Penn State. It was that like that is the canary in the coal mine for Ohio State basketball. That like a loss like that happens and then the wheels fall off. So there's still a path, I guess, but. Yeah, who the hell knows at this point? Michigan State, again, like they got all the talent, and you want to say that they're going to be in, but what are we basing that off of? Recruiting rankings and the coach that's sitting on the bench and also their uniforms? Like that's basically it. Like the product that they're putting on the floor is not a tournament product. And until that changes, we have to assume that they're not going to make it in. I don't know who else is getting in the tournament out of this conference. Like it's in a bad spot right now. Michigan could theoretically. We'll talk about them in a second. They're 5-5, but like I don't know. I'm looking at her like what? Indiana, I guess. Like Indiana's 2 losses are to really good teams, but I mean, and they have talent, but like if you're a bet man and you're putting money on the Hoosiers to make the NCAA tournament,
right.
Good luck. God bless you. I will not be backing that bet. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and I guess the greater point about the Big Ten for me is that if you're not like a Big Ten fan, or maybe you are, if you're someone that's just through the years said the Big Ten is always overrated, why does this conference always get so many bids to the NCAA tournament? They always choke. First of all, they don't always choke. It's only been like the last few years. That's like but it has been bad. It was really like the COVID tournament. It was the 2021 tournament was the worst tournament ever for the Big Ten. We had so many good teams, and all of them got upset by just awful upsets. And it has not been great since then. I understand that, but if you're someone that's like, why does this conference always get 9 bids, 10 bids, 11 bids, whatever, when they never win the national championship? The reason is because the Big Ten has been great in non-conference play, and every non-conference, it seems like the Big Ten. You have a team like a Purdue last year in the PK 85 is just whooping on Duke and whooping on Gonzaga. And then they did it again in the Maui Invitational this year. Those types of results became the norm where like Big Ten teams are playing well in this non-conference season, and then they fuck it up in the NCAA tournament, and everyone's like, why are we putting on these overrated teams? Well, it's because the Big Ten was dominating the non-conference, and whether you think they're the best teams or not, that's the reason why. That's why it's happening. And I say all that to say, if you're a Big Ten hater, put the champagne on ice, because this non-conference season has not been great for the Big Ten, and I do not anticipate a ton of bids coming out of this conference unless I don't know what it's going to take unless some shakeups. I mean, we got some decent games this week, and like Indiana could beat Kansas, I guess, in Bloomington, and that could be a feather in the cap. And then like now beating Indiana is like a really valuable win. I don't know. You got to kind of hope for stuff like that, but like the non-conference performance from this conference has not been as good as it's been in years past. So yeah. Be excited about that. Those of you that are like, I'm sick of seeing all these Big Ten teams losing in the second round in the NCAA tournament. Get them out of here. You probably will see that. And if you don't, then I'm on board with it. If the Big Ten continues on the trajectory it's on, and the conference gets like 8 or 9 teams in the NCAA tournament, then I officially am on board with like every Big Ten conspiracy out there that like they just are going to blindly put Big Ten teams in the tournament. I don't think that's the case though. I think it's because it's based on games in November and December. And yeah, by the time March rolls around, the conference sucks. But I don't know. You got to beat them in November, December if you want the bids. And so far, all the other conferences are doing that. Speaking of the Big Ten, number 3 on the fraud power rankings, zero tolerance policies. Juwan Howard, not fired. So Jeff Goodman, who is a guy.
Yep.
I was about to say friend. He's a friend of something.
He's a guy of the program.
Jeff Goodman is a friend of friends of the program. I've had friends.
Fair.
People who are friends of the program are friends with Jeff Goodman. Well, that's the nicest thing we can say about him. I saw on his one of his 10,000 things he's doing for Field of 68 over there. His sources, he's got multiple sources, said that there was an altercation. I think everybody kind of knew that. There was an altercation with Juwan Howard and Sanderson, the strength coach of Michigan. And his story was like Jace Howard, Juwan's son, who's on the team, was giving some shit to trainers. Jace Howard's hurt, and he's I don't know, talking back to trainers, doing whatever to the training staff in Michigan. Sanderson calls him out, mentions something about this is why the culture sucks here. Juwan Howard hears that, loses his mind, and then they go chest to chest, nose to nose. I don't know if Goodman reported that there was a finger poking in the chest, but that's how I visualized it. I visualized one guy. Now, did they poke in the? Do you think they poked in the chest? I guess, or did someone put a finger to the nose?
Mm-hmm.
What is more emasculating, TJ? If someone came up to you and yelled at you and just started tapping your chest with their finger and they're like, "If you fucking do that again, I swear to God," or if they put their finger, they just keep it still on your nose and they're like, "You motherfucking."
Or maybe like, you're like, got your nose.
Yeah, give him a noogie. Yeah, Jeff Goodman reported that Sanderson went ahead and put Juwan Howard in a headlock.
Whoa.
Gave him a noogie. I think an atomic wedgie is what he reported. And said nana boo boo or something like that.
I heard he picked him up by like the straps on his jersey and lifted him up against the lockers. And he shook him down for change.
For his lunch money. If that was in fact what happened, Goodman said they had an altercation. He had multiple sources. So even if one of his sources, that's how multiple sources work. If one of his sources was lying to him, he had the other. He had the backup. If that is in fact the case, Juwan Howard's supposed to be on a zero tolerance policy. So what does the zero tolerance mean? What are we not tolerating? That feels like what? That's what I want to know. I need more clarity on the zero tolerance policy that Juwan Howard was put on. Is it striking a man? Is that it? Is it? Because if that's the case, then Juwan Howard pointing his finger in someone's face does seem like a power move. Because it's like I'm not hitting you, you know. It's like he's looking at the Michigan administration and he's just like, I'm not hitting him. I'm just putting my hand really close to his face.
They should consider putting Draymond Green on staff.
Whoa. Great point. He's the enforcer. He's the goon. Like Juwan just turns to Draymond and he's like, punch him, please. I'm out of punches, Draymond. Unfortunately, I've exhausted all of my punches, so I'm gonna go ahead and need you to punch him in the face.
Champion a punch for me.
No, I hate when stories like this break though, and we don't get a resolution immediately.
Yeah,
that's been the most frustrating stuff about all Michigan athletics. Is like, just fast forward to the part. Like, is the football team getting away with this or not? You know, like I can't live in this limbo for this long, and that's where we're at with Juwan too. It's like the story breaks. A lot of eyes emojis, a lot of like vague gifs on Twitter from Trilly Donovan and others, but nothing of substance, you know. So like when that's going on Twitter, I'm like, oh shit's about to go down, and then we never get a resolution. Just like I want a Michigan statement that's like, yeah, nothing really happened. We're not firing him. Or he's fired. Is he fired or not? That's what I want to know. But if it is a zero tolerance policy, I also want some clarity on what the zero tolerance is, because I feel like getting into a confrontation with a strength coach could be that. But again, just like everyone broke down the film when he struck Joe Krabenhoff in the face, it was not a closed fist, therefore it was not that bad. Now, if you review the tape and you slow motion it, you can actually see 3 of his fingernails, and what that tells me is that his fist was not fully closed. Ipso facto, it was not a punch, it was simply a strike, and everybody knows you can't fire a coach just for striking a guy in the face. He has to punch him. Do you remember that? Am I misremembering that? That's how, like, when all that went down, like, everyone was arguing over the most bullshit semantics of, like, whether it was
what is a punch?
A punch, or it's like, dude, he fucking wailed on a coach in a handshake. Like, who cares if it was a punch or a slap or like, there were so many people that were like, it was a smush. It was not a slap or a punch. It was actually a smush, which is, if you're coming at it from this angle, I mean, anyway, I need to see the tape. Did he smush Sanderson? Did he strike him? What happened there? All right, number 2, on the fraud power rankings, the NCAA. The NCAA's power is waning and has been for years at this point. But there was a court case judgment a couple days ago. Actually, it was yesterday. Where I think it was in the state of Ohio, that a judge ruled that they basically kicked the can down the road. So they're basically addressing the idea of restricting transfers. Is that, I don't know if constitutional is the right way. Is that like legal? Can you tell guys if you transfer to another school, you have to sit out a year? And there was kind of no resolution, and they kicked the can down the road for 14 days, and we'll figure it out in 14 days. It's very, very boring. My number one gripe with college sports right now is you need a law degree to understand what the fuck is going on with all this stuff. It's very, very frustrating. So I don't want to bore the audience, but if the NCAA does in fact, if this goes through and transfers can permanently transfer without any sort of cooling off window, I guess, or it's not a suspension, it's a sitting out period, the NCAA is cooked. I mean, it's done. It's over. It's we've already been trending towards that. But if literally every offseason, it doesn't even have to be offseason. I mean, you're going to get dudes transferring at semester and joining another team. You get a team like Indiana that has too many big guys and needs more guards. They're going to like push their big guy in the transfer portal, go get a guard. Like, it is going to be, if you think it's chaos now, it is going to be the most insane fucking thing you've ever seen. And I think it's going to happen. I think that's where we're headed. And I think, I don't know. The NCAA had 2 things left, and it was like administering tournaments. It's handing out a trophy, but not even for the biggest sport, which is college football. They don't even do that. They let college football figure out their own thing, or the top level of college football, I should say. The FCS schools have their own tournament that's an NCAA championship, but they really exist to give out a trophy to like the women's volleyball national champion, the March Madness obviously national champion. That's one reason the NCAA exists. The other is to like enforce some semblance of amateurism or some semblance of like the student athlete framework. And that part has been eroding for years, very, very slowly for years, and now very, very quickly. And boy, is it quick. Dude, like this is maybe not the final domino, but certainly feels that way, where it's like, if dudes can just like the difference between like the NBA and college basketball, and this is so obvious, and I'm sorry to talk down to the audience, but just pointing it out, like the NBA guys are under contract, and as much as you feel like the NBA guys can have the player empowerment, and a guy like James Harden can be like, I'm not happy, trade me here, and they do, and you're like, well, what the fuck? The NBA guys can just do that? Not everybody can. It's like you have to have enough leverage. You have to have there's a lot more that goes into it, even though that's how it's presented on the surface. If this in fact happens with college basketball and all of college sports, that's what it will be. It'll just be guys every offseason can just go wherever they want, whenever they want. It's chaos, and like I don't know, because the flip side of it is I don't necessarily think they shouldn't be able to. And that's why the NCAA's cooked, because I don't even know what the solution is. It's a classic pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered situation. That is the NCAA's. Like if I was making if I was writing a book about it, that would be the title of my book. I'd be pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered.
Yeah.
And for a long time, the NCAA was the fattest pig around, and they just kept like eating and kept eating, and it was like, man, this is some good eating. We're raking in the money.
Yeah.
Everything's great. And then they all like looked at each other. All these fat pigs just looked at each other and were like, more. We need more. We should go for more. And that's like, because I really do think that if college basketball and football and the for-profit, the revenue sports, I should say, if we lived in a world where a Nick Saban is making $700,000 a year, I don't think people are as up in arms. If we're living in a world where, football locker rooms are just locker rooms, and you just go to the locker room and you put your shit in the locker, get changed, and go to practice, and there's not like the most state-of-the-art everything, and shoe companies weren't running everything in basketball, and television networks weren't running everything in football. And that wasn't all going on, and there were guys who were getting rich, but they weren't getting like wealthy, like fuck you money.
Yeah.
I think if that was what the system was, I don't think people would care that much. I don't think like the idea of not paying players, and I know that because that's what the system was forever. And there were some people that were upset, but others were like, I don't know, man. It's not like everybody's like making tens of millions of dollars. And now it is. Now everybody is. Now all the administrators are. When the shoe companies got involved and when the TV networks step in. So yeah, I think it's gotten to a point where it's past the point of no return. I think they have to allow the athletes to have rights, but unfortunately, by doing that, and I don't want to say this to like put it on the athletes and say that's why we can't give you rights. I think you have to give the athletes rights, but in doing so, you kind of are killing college sports. You kind of just killed it, and I don't know. It's very sad.
It's weird too because like these transfer rules, like 5-10 years ago, you're transferring schools. Almost every time you're transferring is because you're not happy with your situation. There's like a coaching issue. You're not getting enough playing time, whatever, or like you got injured and situations changed. So, like, it made sense maybe 5 years ago if somebody could become instantly eligible and not have to sit out a year. But now, almost what percentage of transfers are solely because of money?
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Most of them? All of them?
Yeah. No, yeah.
So, I don't know. I feel like it's that we've had this type of conversation before that we're in, like, a gray area in college sports where as they figure out, like, how they're supposed to regulate where money comes from and goes to. But until then, it will be chaos. I would like to see some sort of trade block implemented.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a solution or if that causes more chaos. But
the reason it's chaos in this gray area is because the guys aren't under contract.
Yeah.
Now they sign their scholarship papers and all that, but they're not employees.
Right. That doesn't mean anything.
So if there's no like enforcement of stuff and I think we've talked about it on this show, but certainly I know I've talked about it with Brandon. Like the NIL part gets interesting when I'm waiting for like the big stories of like we gave this guy $1 million, he just took our money and ran. And I assume that they have contracts for that, but like it's just all like this hazy area where it's not like clearly defined. If you're playing here and you're getting paid this, there's an expectation that you can play, and also since you have that right, we now are asking that you can't transfer, and there basically has to be a collective bargaining agreement between the player and as you're saying all this stuff and you're fleshing out, okay, so if you added that, then what would that look like, and then okay, so maybe you would just need this, and then I mean you're describing professional sports, you're describing the NFL and the NBA, and that's what I've seen that writing on the wall for years now, and that's what's going to happen. That is 100% what is going to happen is. College basketball will directly compete with the NBA. College football will directly compete with the NFL. And, I don't know what happens after that. And for a guy like me that loves college sports, I don't know. I can save that. I can save that crisis for later. But I'm starting to TJ. I'm starting to have a crisis right now. 'Cause I'm like, why the fuck would I watch college basketball at that point? I should just watch the NBA. Why would I watch college football if the model of college football looks exactly like the NFL, but the players are worse? Like everything about college football is the NFL, It's just the players are worse.
Yeah.
At that point, I don't think an association to my alma mater is enough to get me to like care that much.
No, because the brands will diminish in value if
Yeah.
there's no like culture behind anything.
Exactly.
It's just based purely off of money. Like there will be no if it goes on this path and becomes more and more of like everybody skipping whenever they feel like it.
That's a great point. Yeah, because part of the reason you do buy into the guys wearing your alma mater's jersey is because those guys are going to the same campus you went to, and they're taking the same classes you're taking, and there is that cultural thing of, you know, if I bump into Justin Fields, I could talk to him about his favorite bar on High Street,
right?
You know, like,
right,
and stuff like that. And suddenly, if we're living in a world where all these athletes are mercenaries and they're not really playing for something bigger than themselves, they're just playing for themselves, which, you know, maybe is within their rights, whatever. But that was the appeal of college sports always. But that all these guys are playing for something bigger than themselves. You're trying to beat your rivals. You're trying to, you know, get noticed for the next level. There's just like something, and like having a locker room of all these dudes that have that mindset. It just pulls everybody up together and just created this really cool thing. And if we live in a world where everybody is a mercenary and is just out to get theirs, I don't know if that's a strong enough tie for me as an Ohio State alum to care about the Ohio State football team if I know that like 90% of the guys in that locker room don't even care about the Ohio State football team. They just care about their paycheck, or they just care about what's next for them. You know, I don't know. And if that is in fact what the system is, like I'll watch the NFL. They have the better players. So like the reason I watch college, it's just I don't know. I didn't mean to go on that route, but yeah, I saw that's where we're headed with the transfer stuff, and it's hard not to like once you start seeing once you start seeing the path laid out and like the ball, the snowball that's slowly rolling and creating the avalanche that's coming at you, you're like, okay, so that's up there. Gravity works where it's coming this way, and I'm standing right here. Oh yeah, this is gonna fucking steamroll me. Yeah, it's definitely gonna steamroll me. All right, so here we go.
What then is like the easiest solution? Is it like a salary cap? Is it contracts? Service time agreements?
I think my like blanket solution is probably some sort of revenue share. I don't know though. It kind of feels like it would just be a temporary fix, but I think some sort of like blanket revenue share, where, if you're, I don't know.
Maybe it's like conference based. Like each conference gets. Maybe it's like. College basketball, every team that makes the tournament allocates money to your conference that they can distribute back to the schools that they can give out in pay or something. I don't know. There has to be some sort of like cap. That way it's not just
there's
whatever team has the most money that year wins the national
right now there is
championship.
no salary cap. There are no contracts in terms of player fluidity. And there's no way to conduct a sports league of any kind. And it's just going to be chaos, and it's not going to get any better. I don't know. Like my idea was just like, as I was thinking it through, is just like a revenue share thing where teams figure out how much money they can give their football team, say, and then the football players just divvy it up. Like if you're like a Big Ten school and you're getting a fat bag from Fox, you then take that money and it's just a percentage, and so there's not like hard numbers. It's just like you will earn X percentage of whatever money we bring in. But in my world, it would all be even, because like the nightmare scenario in terms of turning this into full professional stuff is a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. is like, I deserve way more money than everyone else on this team, which he does. He definitively does, but because of that, he's going to want his own deal. And then the other, so I was like, is there a world where you could do like a blanket thing where it's just like, if you play for this team, you get this much money, no questions asked, wipe your hands? And the answer is no, because inevitably, you know, Caleb Williams is going to be like, why the fuck am I making the same amount of money as the backup right tackle? That doesn't make any sense. And yeah, it's cooked, dude. I think it's cooked. I don't know. I'm trying to enjoy the last few songs on the Titanic while we can. All right, number one. That's the best part about the Fraud Power Rankings. I have an existential crisis at number 2.
and number 1.
And then there's still one more to go. Number 1 on the Fraud Power Rankings, and I hate to do it to him, but he kind of did it to himself. Adam Ferrone, Barstool Sports. Maybe you've heard of him, folks. He's a friend of the program. He's been on the show. We've had Roan on the show. And Roan, the other day, just decides to incite a riot, basically. Start a civil war within Barstool. He tweets, Barstool, New York versus Barstool, Chicago in basketball. I have NYC all day. He hits send tweet. He sets his phone down. I assume he has like a little grin on his face. Yeah. He's the picture of that girl that's like, the little girl that's smiling with the house on fire behind her. Yeah, but I see this tweet and I immediately think, all right, so they must just think, oh, I'm not playing. I mean, like that's like maybe Roan forgot about me, but then I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I just saw Roan today. I mean, Roan was on the yak. I was just like, I think I talked to him like 30 minutes before he put this tweet out, TJ, and I just really couldn't wrap my mind around it. And then someone brought up Pat Bev, and they were like, well, Roan is obviously just backing up his guy, Pat Bev, who would obviously, as we all know, play for the New York Barstool team. And I'm sitting there like, what? In what world would Pat Bev play for New York? What does Pat Bev have? Pat Bev's from Chicago. Pat Bev is from Chicago.
If anything,
he plays for the Philadelphia 76ers. Like if Pat Bev was taking sides, he's on our side, is he not? So yeah, this has become a thing. I've been getting tagged in a lot of tweets. A lot of the stoolies rightfully are seeing it as they should, which is that I would smoke fucking everybody. Yeah, like part of me wants this game to happen so I can shut them all up, but then the other part of me feels like it's a trap. Like the whole point of this is to get me to show up somewhere so they can, I don't know, like fill up a sock with pennies and beat the fuck out of me or something. Because I'm like, what? In what other world is this a debate? I don't understand it. I got Billy Football chirping at me from Africa.
Yeah,
he's in Africa and he's like tweeting at me like I would lock up Titus, and I'm like, what's going on, dude? Like, can you score 1 point in the Africa Bowl for me, Billy? Before we get to like take care of business in front of you before you pivot to me. Damn. And I'm a Billy Football guy. I'm one of like I think I'm the only guy in this company that owns a Billy's List hoodie. I have a Billy's List hoodie that like most people don't even know what that is. And I own one, and I wore it proudly. I don't know, man. My head is spinning trying to make sense of what's going on. How do you see this, TJ? You work in the Chicago office, but you're a New York guy at heart. You're a New York native, a Jersey guy, whatever. Same thing.
Yeah. I think that from what I've seen of the New York office's basketball delegation, like they have like a league that they play in, some co-ed league or something.
That's what it is. They play in this co-ed league and they're feeling themselves.
Not many people are talking about this. They are playing in a co-ed league, and they all it's an all men's team. And they had the option to put girls on the team. Gio wanted to play, but they said no and played an all men's league, or in a co-ed league as an all men's team. They have some guys. I think Nick Mulcahy plays a lot. I think Dana tells everybody about his high school stats, and Pat is good at basketball.
Pat's good,
but I think that we have the reps. Like we have a basketball court in the office. We could certainly like draw something up, and we have a lot of guys with height here. I think it would be like they would try to big body us, and we would shoot over them. Also, you played Division I basketball.
Yeah, but
like it or not, facts are facts.
I know, but then so now I'm thinking of it. Like, is this can I win here? How do I win?
Yeah.
That's what I'm worried about.
If this happened, I think it would be a pretty straight up thing. I think winning wins. If
winning wins,
the only way that you could lose is A, losing, or B, winning but looking like an asshole the whole time.
Like, how do you mean? Like, if I tried to score 80 points?
Yeah, like if you were running it up, you wouldn't have to make it close like the Producer Bowl, but you would have to like. There's a line that you would cross if you were like dropping your nuts on people.
Yeah, I guess if I was like
as long as it's competitive.
If I was clearing guys out and I was just going one-on-one every single time.
Yeah, if you're like breaking defenses or like.
Which I'm not even a one-on-one player. I'm like a spot-up shooter, but I honestly think that would probably be our best strategy.
Yeah.
Like if you're actually trying to optimize us winning, we would probably just play Harden at his peak ball, where I just like clear everybody just spot up. And I'll go one-on-one, and if they bring help, I'll kick it to you and hit a wide open three, and if they don't, I'm going to score on Billy Football, who I assume would be guarding me. I'll do that all day. Yeah. The thing about it is, like, I was thinking about the guys at Barstool, New York, that they would put on me. And I'm not a great athlete at this point in my life. I'm almost 40. Like, I'm not gonna pretend like I'm gonna dunk on people and like run around screens all day, and no one's gonna be able to keep up with me and all that. But one thing I am very confident about is I will raise my eyebrows with the ball in my hand, and Billy Football will jump out of the gym trying to block my shot. I will just simply just go like that, and he will bite on every single fake.
Yeah,
he will bite on every fake.
Every football player plays basketball the exact same way.
Yes, I will put him in the psychological torture chamber. I will beat him with my brain.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Also, I will disclaimer this: I am not playing in this game on either side because I do not know how to play basketball.
Who would play in this? Cody,
From us?
Yeah, Cody. You play pickup, right? With all the behind the scenes guys.
Yeah,
you play in those games.
Yeah, every Friday. I'm actually kind of nice.
Give me our scouting report of guys. Who's
I would
on our
say
team?
We're a big team, but our bigs are also like combo, like athletic.
Like big, like size wise, or
Size-wise,
big like roster numbers.
Both, honestly. I think we got a lot of guys. I think Reed Miller, good guard. We got Lance. We got Trey, big body. We got White Boy Rick.
White Boy Rick's tall, right?
Yeah.
McCarthy can play.
Is White Boy Rick the Indiana guy?
Ebo's good.
He's from. Is he from Indiana or he just went to IU?
He's from here.
He's from Chicago. Yeah. Okay.
Big Cat obviously could shoot. Big T can shoot.
Yeah,
Chief can shoot. Like there's.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of guys. Like I think we outnumber them too.
I take it back. I don't even think we have to play hard ball. That wouldn't be it at all.
I think we just have a deep bench.
Reed's good.
Yeah, Reed's good.
We do have a deep bench.
Yeah, and I guess like
which would help because we're gonna have guys gas out pretty quickly.
I've already said too much because I've already fanned the flames now and start. But like my it's less that like Roan thinks it's less that the New York people think they would win, and it's more that they're like we would wipe the floor with you guys, which is I guess just classic East Coast scumbaggery. But that's insane to me. I mean the hubris to think that you would wipe the floor with us. When you wouldn't even win. You would not win the game. I don't know. It's crazy. I can only assume that they think Pat Bev would play for them, in which case, yes, you'd probably win.
The NBA player?
I probably. Yeah. I don't know. Because Big T, I've seen Big T shoot a bat. If Big T gets hot, it's up in the air.
If Big T gets fouled, too, he's dynamite from the free throw line.
Yeah, does not miss free throws.
I would like to see this come to fruition, obviously, but I think if that happened, at one point, you would notice cracks in the armor on one side. Somebody would suggest something like, well, we have to have everybody play or mandatory playing time or minimum playing times or like every content person needs to get involved. Like somebody would suggest something that would suggest that they're the weaker side even before the game starts.
I would love Big Cat on our team, but I also worry that Big Cat he's got content brain. He can't turn it off. And like we'd be playing in the game and he'd be like, you know what'd be funny is if I
fouled out or
as Titus is dribbling up the court, I just pants him, you know? And he'd be right. It would be funny. But the competitor in me would be like, "What the fuck, dude? We're trying to win this game, dude. Come on." I talked to Nate in the lobby here before he left and went back to New York, and he was trying to argue that I shouldn't be able to play if Pat Bev. He was like, if Pat Bev can't play for New York, then you shouldn't be able to play for Chicago. He's like, that's a fair trade, and that's what kind of set me off because I was like, Pat Bev isn't even New York. That doesn't even count. And he's like, well, he does the show with Roan, and Roan's New York. And I was like, well, that's just too many levels to it.
Yeah.
If you're doing that, then like I'm gonna get NBA friends that I have. I'm gonna start a show with. Fuck, dude. I'll just like figure out like my NBA Rolodex and like just make up a bullshit show, and I'll be like, well, I'm in Chicago, so Mike Conley gets to play.
Yeah.
Because Mike and I do a podcast on the side, which I don't mean to. I'm not talking down on the Pat Bev pod. It's an awesome pod. I'm just. The precedent I'm saying that you would set is I would just start a bullshit podcast with Mike Conley. Boom, done. Mike's a Chicago office guy. So the compromise I pitched to him is, well, never mind. I don't need to say that. I've done enough damage. I've done enough damage. All right, that's the fraud power ranking. Oh, you know what? If I'm gonna shit on Jeff D'Lo and I'm gonna shit on Roan, putting him on the fraud power rankings, I guess I should probably honorable mention, but like. I'll put myself at number one. Bump everybody else down one. Put me at number one. Make Jeff D'Lo an honorable mention. Make Roan number two. The performance I had on the Yak Challenge today, TJ, was...
Yeah.
You and I did the Yak Challenge as a tandem. And first of all, did you do this to me on purpose? Because I couldn't help but notice, like, I was like, all right, let's talk through strategy. And you were like, no, you got to do soccer and football. You were immediately ready.
No, my strategy was I don't want to... have to look Jake Malasek in the eyes if I don't have to.
Because he's so dreamy?
No. He looks like human Shrek. Remember when Shrek went human in Shrek 2? I don't want anything to do with shooting at Jake because last time I tried that was one of the more embarrassing athletic moments of my life. My time was 3:30 something, and I spent a minute rolling around on the ground with Jake trying to wrestle a ball out of his hands. So I let you take that.
Yeah.
Which set you up for failure, I guess.
Yeah, I took one shot. I thought it was good. It was not, and then I kind of spiraled after that because I was like, I never considered a world where that wasn't going in.
For those that don't know the Yak Challenge, by the way, it's one of the more imagine like the most athletic / academic challenges that your brain could conjure, and then multiply it by 10x. Yeah, and then you get the Yak Gauntlet.
And then you yakify it, and I can't do the football. I can't do the football at all. You have to hit there's a row of bottles sitting on a folding table, and you have to throw a football and hit one of the bottles off. And I was bad at it the first time I tried it. I'm bad at it now. Yeah. I don't understand. I can throw a football. I can throw a football well. That's
Brownsburg High.
Brownsburg High, BHS, class of 06. Look it up. I think I threw for 1,000 yards my senior year. I don't know. I was about to throw out stats that I actually don't want people to look up. I'm like, people are gonna look at my stats and be like, 6 touchdowns and 23 interceptions. What the hell, dude? Yeah. So that's a big ego bruise for me because I'm throwing the ball, but it's the wonkiest thing ever. It's I don't know. And then you start going crazy because everyone's like, damn, dude, you suck at throwing a football. Cam Newton sucked at throwing the football.
True.
But somehow, I don't know, dude. The Yak Challenge is breaking my brain. It's bruising my ego and breaking my brain. And TJ and I did it as a tandem today, and we would have had a good time if not for me. I fucked up the soccer. I fucked up the football. We both hit our basketball shots, though.
That's true.
Both of us.
People are saying.
Both of us first shot. All right, quick break to talk about our friends at All Athlete. It's that time of year when everyone is starting to think about New Year's resolutions. Mine is simple. I'm going to dunk a basketball. I have not dunked in a couple years. This was something that I haven't failed. It's not like I've been trying and I can't get it. It's just that I got old. My knee. I started having a little bit of knee problems, but nothing that wasn't fixable. I think I need to get back on the path because I think I could do it, but I don't fully know. I'm going to need some time, and that's where All Athlete comes in. I'm going to show everyone. My goal is to dunk a basketball by the March, I'm going to say the national championship. By the time college basketball season is over, I'm hoping I can dunk a basketball, which means I'm going to have to, there's a lot I'm going to have to do. But anyway, my friend Greg, who was a member of Michigan's football recruiting staff. This is a true story. Greg and I were neighbors in Los Angeles, and he was on Michigan football recruiting staff before the Connor Stallion. I mean, the Connor Stallions things blows up, and I'm thinking about Greg all the time. I've been too scared to text Greg about it because he's the nicest guy in the world, but he might actually be Connor Stallions for all I know. He is now the president of All Athlete app, sponsoring my journey. I am going to use All Athlete to post my updates on my progress to Dunk Day 2024. All Athlete allows you to post PRs, connect with college coaches, and even super accurately measure your height, wingspan, hand size, etc. using incredible AI features. It's like having a basketball combine in your pocket. Over 200,000 athletes are on All Athlete, and recruiters use All Athlete to find talent by location, sport, position, and much more. All Athlete has already connected thousands of athletes to top college programs, leading to hundreds of offers, visits, and scholarships. Turn your D1 sports dreams into reality with All Athlete. Join now at allathlete.vip/mark and unlock your potential. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use All Athlete as though I'm a college basketball recruit trying to get the attention of scouts. And my goal is to track my progress in dunking. And hopefully, and Greg will understand. I think his vision for this is to turn this into a long saga. Unfortunately, Greg, I think I'm just going to have to dunk on the first try and just shut it all down right away. But we'll see. I don't know. I have not dunked a basketball in a couple years, but we are launching this journey with All Athlete to Dunk Day 2024, I guess is what we're calling it. That's my New Year's resolution. I want to dunk a basketball before March Madness ends. Let's get it done. All Athlete. All right, some shout-outs before we get out of here. I didn't really talk about Louisville. Louisville was not on the Fraud Power Rankings. Kenny Payne was not on the Fraud Power Rankings because they have been an absolute joke for a while now. Louisville is, I said it earlier, just when you think there's a rock that Louisville can't hit any more rock bottom. There's no further level that they can fall to. They do. They lose to DePaul on the road, by the way, which we didn't really talk about. The toilet bowl between Louisville and DePaul. Louisville loses by 7 at DePaul. It wasn't even close. I mean, kind of close, but it wasn't like, I don't know. They're bad. They're definitively a very, very bad basketball team. Where they're for a stretch. The event they had, and I forget what it was called. Which one was that? It wasn't the Jimmy V. It was the preseason NIT. The one. Fuck, I forget. The one where they played Texas and Indiana, and UConn won the thing. Louisville hung with Texas and Indiana both, and they looked like not that bad of a basketball team. But the wheels have completely fallen off. I joined the chorus of people that are asking, how is Kenny Payne employed for one more second? It makes zero sense. He should have been fired ages and ages ago. Kenny Payne being a nice guy has, I assume, that's the only two explanations I can think of are Kenny Payne is a nice dude, and like whoever's in charge of pulling the trigger on firing him just doesn't have the heart to do it to a guy who's that nice, or they just don't have the money. Neither one of those really makes sense in my brain because Louisville should theoretically have a ton of money. Like they are a basketball program that should be flush with cash. I don't know. I'm not looking at their books, but like Louisville, the Louisville basketball I remember has a ton. The revenue that they bring in is insane. So like I have to assume that. Again, I don't know how it all works. I don't know what the contracts say, but I have to assume that like you hire the right guy, get the ship right again, you're gonna make all that money back. So I assume it's not that, and it's more that they don't want to be mean to a nice guy, which is like, who gives a fuck, dude? This is high level college basketball. Like you can't bring all of that to the equation. And B, Kenny Payne being nice is we're so far past that. Like if Kenny Payne is actually a good guy, he sees what's going on with Louisville basketball and steps down. Like the more Kenny Payne continues to coach Louisville basketball, the less nice of a guy he is. Because a nice guy, a good dude, a guy who cares about his alma mater, a guy who wants to make people happy, like all these things that I have been told. I don't know Kenny Payne personally, but all these things that like people say about him, he's a good dude, yada yada yada. If that is in fact the case, he would look around at like the pain and suffering he has inflicted on the people of Louisville and be like, yeah, I'm not the right man for the job. Like having one skosh of self-awareness feels like that needs to be what's going on right now. I am just at a complete loss as to how he is still coaching Louisville. And losing to Arkansas State, they've now lost 3 in a row. Virginia Tech, DePaul, Arkansas State, each lost worse than the one before it. Louisville's 4-6, which, for what it's worth, they won 4 games last year, so maybe there's some small part of Kenny Payne that's like, I'm killing it, dude. You let me coach for 100 more years. Maybe by the end, we'll be a 31 team. Maybe that's what his rationale is. I don't know. But the losses aren't even the thing. It's the story with Karan Davis yesterday, where he is suspended, or they announced that he is transferring. He shows up. He has not played a second for Louisville this year, and he has been on the bench for some games, I think. Other games he's been sitting in the crowd, which is bonkers. They announced that he's transferring. He comes out and tweets that I'm not transferring. And then that night against Arkansas State, he's in the crowd watching the game, the kid that they had said transferred. So then Louisville has to issue. And when they initially said that he was transferring, Kenny Payne had mentioned, sorry to be all over the place, but that's what this story has done to my brain. It's just like, what the fuck is this anymore? We had the Kenny Payne tights thing where like the guy doesn't want to play with his tights on. I'm going crazy. While Davis is not playing in these games, Kenny Payne said he's not in trouble. So no one really knows what the hell is going on. Why is he not playing? What is this discipline? Is this not discipline? Then the announcement comes that he's transferring. And it's like, oh damn, maybe it wasn't discipline. Maybe he just didn't. Maybe he was personally sitting out for some reason. Maybe that's what was going on. But then he shows up at the game last night. And that's the part that's confusing, because it's like if he hates the program and he was transferring, then why is he at the game? So then Louisville has to put out another statement after the original statement that's like, yeah, as it turns out, he was in trouble and we kicked him off the team, and he is transferring because he's just not welcome back here. The whole thing's a mess. It's a total shit show that is somehow the PR of it has turned into an even worse shit show. It's like the PR department of Louisville is like, let me take that shit. No, here's what I'm gonna do with it. And in your mind, you're like, yeah, are we taking chicken shit and chicken salad? And they're like, no, watch this. And then they shit on it a little bit more, and then they present it to the public. Like that's what's going on in Louisville right now. It is so far beyond a joke. I have no. I'm running out of ways to describe what this like. I every time Louisville plays a basketball game, every time there's a Louisville news story, it's just my timeline is flooded with people that are just like. This is like Mike Rutherford, God love him, is just like we've hit rock bottom. He's just like saying that over and over. He's like, all right, so now this is rock bottom. So now it's insane. It's actually insane for a pro. If Chicago State was doing this, I would be stunned. I would be like, damn, this is crazy for a Division I basketball program to be conducting its affairs in this manner. This is Louisville, dude. This is like one of the. I don't want to tier the programs. I was going to do that with Jeff D'Lo. He's not here, unfortunately, so I don't want to do that. It's a sore subject, but Louisville's in the top 10. Louisville's one of the 10 best college basketball programs in the country. I don't know where they fall in the top 10, but I feel pretty confident I would put them in the top 10. And for a program like that to be, it's just it really does feel like it's just been a slow descent to where the rest of the world has been conditioned to just kind of expect this from Louisville, that is the most alarming thing to me. Is like we've kind of reached a point where insane shit happens with the Louisville basketball program, and the general public is just like, yeah, that makes sense. Like that actually checks out that Kenny Payne and Louisville would do that. And I mean, to be fair to Kenny Payne, like there was chaos within the Louisville basketball program before he even got there. The Chris Mack, Dino Gaudio shit, and obviously Rick Pitino leaving the program, the circumstances of that. It has been a shit show for a while, but just the fact that we've gotten to a point where stories like the Karan Davis story and the Tyler Johnson story with the tights, and he doesn't want to go into games and stuff, and they're losing Arkansas State at home in non-competitive basketball games. The fact that like this feels like the new norm for Louisville basketball is fucking insane. And I've never once watched a Louisville basketball game and cheered for Louisville to win. I'm not a Louisville hater. I just have never really cared one way or another as to whether they win or lose their games. And I am losing my mind at what is happening at Louisville, and I want them to right the ship so badly. It is like turning me into a Louisville fan somehow. I don't know. So
how do you think Pitino feels about all this?
I want to believe that he's happy and that he's just like, they deserve it. But I don't think he is. I think he's like, this is sad, man. Like I think he's like, I'm guessing that like there's a small part of him that takes pleasure in it, but then deep down, what he really wants more than anything else is to not been fired by Louisville and be at Louisville. And he's like, I still love, like I wanted it to work. He's got a tattoo of Louisville on his back, like he's like, yeah, come on home.
There's going to be a coaching opening at Louisville.
Come home, right?
It's not exactly a program that's, ready to get back to its old ways, but
I know, dude, that would be so awesome,
right? Like,
he wants to be at Louisville. Like Rick Pitino definitely has the whole reason he's coaching. Like I feel like Rick Pitino is trying to just recreate what he had with Louisville. It's like he divorced his blonde bombshell wife with huge fake boobs. And then he married a new woman who's who's like 5 years younger, blonde bombshell. Like that seems to be what Rick Pitino's mind. Like he wants to be with Louisville.
Yeah,
he wanted it to work out. Let's just bring Rick home, man.
I think you gotta. Yeah, that would be something.
Bring Rick.
That would be something.
Speaking of blonde bombshells, what's this Sydney Sweeney story you put on here, Cody?
Yeah.
She was on the Tonight Show. I actually did not see this.
Yeah, she was on Jimmy Fallon and gifted him a signed Gonzaga basketball. Why? No one knows.
She gave him a Gonzaga basketball.
Yeah.
For reasons, and it says
just because he's a fan, allegedly.
He's
Jimmy
a fan.
Fallon is a Gonzaga fan.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta read the story.
No, isn't he from like Boston?
Tonight Show Wednesday and brought a special gift. All those Spokane. Fallon has a long history of being a Gonzaga basketball fan, asking the team to make guest appearances on the show. I didn't know this. I don't watch Fallon. I don't know what the hell that guy's up to. On December 12th, Sydney was a guest on the show, and her and Fallon's love with the Zags. I brought you up.
Just a bizarre story.
So she's from Spokane.
Sydney said it was possible after some team members. See, this is the story. She got the ball because someone on the team slid into the DMs. That's the story.
Yeah.
She's from Spokane? Is that what you said, TJ?
Yes.
All right. Well, this is starting to make more sense.
Yeah, that's what I wrote. And then who is the culprit?
Who on the team slid into
Yeah.
the DMs? It's probably a manager, probably the director of ops.
I would guess it's probably
But-
every player.
Yeah, every single player.
All of
and
them?
also every player, and also Mark Few, and also Adam Morrison.
And also TJ
So-
Hitchings. And all.
And me. It's me. I played
It was
for
me.
Gonzaga. It's
Guys,
me.
guilty.
Guys, it was me all along.
We also
it was
have
me,
breaking-
Austin.
We
It
have
was me
breaking
all-
news, by the way.
What happened?
Dickie V, cancer free.
Yes, sir.
We already knew that, but yeah, I mean,
He just
yeah.
tweeted about it.
Oh,
Yeah,
all right, yeah. I thought we already knew that, but we can do this every show.
Yeah. I did think the same thing, but he just tweeted Santa Claus came early for me and my family just on the phone.
Hell
with my
yeah, dude. I mean,
oncologist. No
I
cancer.
kind of do want to do that every show. I think Cody, you should do that every
Yeah.
show. I should be
Breaking.
like, guys, do we have anything else?
Until
I got,
further notice.
I got one more thing. Dickie Vree, as far as we know,
Yeah.
still cancer free.
Unbelievable.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, baby.
This weekend in college basketball, we got to talk about this because Friday, UConn Gonzaga. Speaking of Gonzaga, Sydney Sweeney and Jimmy Fallon might be at the game, I guess. I don't know. We got UConn Gonzaga on Friday, which could be a good game. I expect UConn to win pretty easy, but it's where is it? Is it in Seattle? I want to say. Where is it at? Let me pull this up. Yeah, it is Seattle. It's in Seattle, so that could get a little crazy, I guess. It's like, why does Gonzaga have to do that with teams? UConn will play anybody anywhere, so I don't mean to get on, but I hate that every time Gonzaga seems to have a big game out of conference, they're playing at a neutral site up in the Pacific Northwest. But yeah, we have UConn Gonzaga on Friday. Here's the slate on Saturday. This is just insane. This is going to be the best slate of college basketball we will see until the NCAA tournament. I guess conference tournament play is awesome too. Till March. This is the best slate we will have until March. We have Arizona versus Purdue. I think that one's in Indianapolis. In fact, I know it's in Indianapolis. And it is on Peacock. So I will be watching. I thought all along I had circled December 16th as decision day for me because I knew this game was going to be awesome. And it's like, if I'm going to get Peacock, I'm going to have to do it December 16th, or I'm going to put my foot down and decide I'm just not doing it. I no longer have to do that. I've been getting free Peacock, and I didn't even realize it. So I'll be able to watch that. But I think Arizona, UConn, and Purdue are the three best teams in the country, which is not exactly a hot take, but that is how I feel. So to have those two teams playing each other, and it's an awesome matchup too. I think Purdue and Arizona. I think if you're Purdue, you're saying to yourself, we match up awesome with Arizona, and if you're Arizona, you're like, we match up awesome with Purdue. And that's going to make for an awesome game because both teams are going to be very confident. They're playing great basketball right now. UNC versus Kentucky, North Carolina, Kentucky, also Ohio State, UCLA in Atlanta, the CBS Sports Classic. I was going to go to that, and then I didn't. That's my story there.
Nice.
I was texting a lot of people. I'd said yes to a lot of people, and then at the last second, I was like, no, I'm not going anymore. I actually have a reason. I have something going on that I can't really talk about, but yeah, I was really fired up to go to Atlanta and go to this doubleheader. I usually go to the CBS Sports Classic every year, and it's a great event, and I think this will be a great event too. And everyone loves to shit on the worst team there, which is not always us, by the way. Ohio State plays well in the CBS Sports Classic. For all of our flaws as a program, we typically do bring it for the CBS Sports Classic, and we will play UCLA. And North Carolina will play Kentucky. That's going on. We have Baylor versus Michigan State. We have Kansas at Indiana. That's a true road game, true home game for the Hoosiers in Bloomington, in Assembly Hall. We have Houston versus Texas A&M. We have Clemson, an undefeated Clemson team, playing Memphis, who's very good. We have Alabama playing Creighton. We have Northwestern versus DePaul to see who the worst team in Chicago is. All of these games, because Chicago State obviously isn't. All of these games are going on Saturday, and the lead into that is Friday, UConn versus Gonzaga. It's going to be awesome, and I can't wait. So hope everybody enjoys the great college basketball. There's really nothing. Yeah, Saturday's a good college basketball day. We're in the clear. There's no college football at all anymore. The Army-Navy game was the last game, right?
I got bad news.
What happened?
There's 3 NFL games on Saturday.
Fuck, dude. What are the games? Yeah, that's right. The NFL does.
Saturday is a stacked fucking sports day. I'm so excited to watch sports all day and not talk to anybody.
Vikings, Bengals, Steelers, Colts, Broncos. I mean, I'll watch I just want.
I love standalone games more than anything, so I'll watch those 3 and then There's a UFC card at night that I'll be locked in on.
God damn it, TJ.
I'm sorry.
Nobody's gonna watch any of this college basketball. So no one's. God damn it.
Rico's going to Omaha, I think, for it.
I just wanna be able to watch college basketball and know on mostly sports. That's gonna be the lead story. I can't. I want to fast forward to that. I want to double dip my sports viewing. Like I want to be able to watch Arizona Purdue and be like, that is what we're going to be talking about on mostly sports on Monday. And instead, we're going to be talking about Bengals Vikings. So I got to watch that shit. Write down a bunch of notes for that shit. Son of a bitch, dude. You know what? Screw it. I'm watching basketball. Sue me. I'm going to watch a lot of basketball this weekend. Maybe you'll do the same. I think that's it. Do we have anything else, boys? Anything else we need to talk about?
Surviving Barstool?
Oh, yeah, Surviving Barstool. Shout out to Will Compton. Very worthy winner. I was fired up to see Will win. I've grown to really love Will. He's making his appearances here in Chicago, doing the pro football show. What else does he do here? Is it just that he comes in to do that? He comes on the Yak all the time, obviously. But I talk to Will off air a lot, and I fucking love the guy, as everyone else does.
Yeah.
You know, I got to get in line, I know. But Will's the man, and he played a great game, and it was very, very fun to watch, and I enjoyed it immensely. And I got to say, full disclosure, I was a hater. When we put it behind the paywall,
Yep.
I was very upset. Not so much about the money, but like it was literally just that I have the YouTube app on my smart TV, and and I had to do a screen mirror situation if I wanted to put it on my big screen, and that was enough of an inconvenience for me to have a dump in my pants and complain about us putting it behind the paywall. So as the series wore on, I was forming the conspiracy theory that this was all a work, and that I'm a mark, literally, I guess that is my name, and that when Dave said that there was some more fireworks coming, he was lying, and he was just doing that so everyone would buy the pay-per-view. And then I saw the final episode, and I was like, "Yup, there it is."
I talked to my parents about it this morning. They were like, "Yeah." My mom was like, "I don't know if I would have been able to contain myself and not like leap across the stage to fight people." Like,
I don't think I would have. I think Kirk. I met Kirk for the first time, by the way, today. Kirk. Introduced himself.
That was a good interaction.
Yeah, we had a good little chat. He was very kind to me. Dave tried to fire me today.
Right.
I think Kirk kind of saved me. Not really. He didn't save me in that he talked to Dave. He just saved me in that I think I was.
Yeah.
I think I was just gonna go jump off a bridge.
Right.
Until Kirk was like, "You're all right. You're all right, kid.
Right.
You'll be all right here." He gave me a little pep talk, and everything was fine. Having said all that, yeah, if I was in Shay's shoes and Kirk was saying that to me, I don't know if I sit there and just smile and just say you played a great game.
Shay's such a fucking robot.
But Shay, dude, he's Teflon, man.
I really think this Surviving Barstool show could have been on any television network as a reality show. Maybe not with the language that they use, but the character dynamics were so it felt very, very real, like a very, very real reality show, and because it was, but the cliches were there. Fights was the guy that tries to do nothing the whole time and ends up in the finale somehow.
It was perfectly cast.
Yeah, I thought PFT was excellent for he could be on Survivor tomorrow and be a star. PFT was awesome. It was a great show. It was the best thing we ever put
I
out.
agree. There were a lot of guys that played really well, and and I never watched Survivor before, so I fell in love with the game, and now I walked away. I was like, I guess I got to watch Survivor now.
Yeah,
what an awesome show. I would love to do the next one. I think I've been asked off air a lot. I've been just talking with people around here, would you do it? And I think I've thought about it enough that I would like to. But I also realize there's a long line of people that need to do it.
I think people are starting to put their names into that pool. I think there's a lot of people that have signed their names onto the next one before.
Yeah, so for the record, I would do it, but I'm not someone that's if I don't do it, I'm gonna burn this place to the ground. How dare you not include me? I don't think I deserve to do it per se, but if they call my number, I'll be ready. Put me in, coach. I don't know how well I'll do, but
I think you have some masterminding in you.
I do. I was talking to Will about it, that I as I was watching the show, I put myself in Will's shoes. I saw Will very early on as my avatar. Now Will is better than me at everything, at sports, at relationships, at podcasting, you name it. I'm very much the Walmart version of Will Compton, but as I was watching the show, I was like, that is the role I think I would play, where
Yeah.
like I could kind of be chummy with everybody. I don't have any beefs with anybody at this company, but I also don't have any super strong alliances, which
Right.
people assume that I do, and I love like the Pardon My Take guys for sure. But yeah, dude, I would stab PFT and Dan in the back in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat, dude. Are you kidding me? In a heartbeat, I would. Yeah, like I don't have those bonds of like we've been in the trenches working together for 8-10 years, whatever. Like some of the bonds were on the show, which is like how
Yeah.
Will was tight with everybody, but not
He
solid
was-
with everybody.
Yeah, there was a Chicago group and a New York group, and then there was like the Kirks and the Wills of the world who kind of fall somewhere in between.
I would definitely be. I think my strategy would just be to be a scumbag. I would play both sides. I would backstab like crazy. I would get addicted to backstabbing. Like if I was Will and I did one backstab and it worked.
Yeah.
I would go into every vote with a plan, and then when I'm sitting there to write the name, I'd be like, I got to do it. I got to
Yeah.
backstab, and I'd just figure out like what the backstab move was.
I'm excited
Just
for
because it made for such fun viewing,
Yeah.
like seeing guys backstab. I was like, we need more backstab. I'm gonna bring more backstab to the table. Oh yeah. Last thing to talk about was Draymond, but fuck it. That's old news. Draymond sucks. All right, that's the show. Everybody enjoy the weekend. Watch college basketball, please. It'll be awesome. I promise. And yeah, we'll see you on the other side.